The whole David situation just kept spiraling, and honestly, proving this guy's innocence now feels almost impossible. A girl was found dead in his impounded Tesla, and when people realized she actually used to be connected to him, everything instantly got way creepier. And let's be real, if you've ever gone through his songs, it kind of feels like he's been confessing this whole time. Now here's where it gets even darker. Reports say the girl, her name was Celeste, rest in peace to this beautiful soul taken way too soon, had a little shh tattoo on her finger. And guess what? David has the exact same tattoo, like, come on. I even went through his TikTok reposts myself, and honestly, after seeing everything, I can't shake the feeling that he's guilty as hell. But if you're just tuning in and don't know the full backstory of this David case, don't worry. I'll give you a quick refresher, because even though I'm not his fan, I've listened to his art a lot. And separating the music from the mess is where things get complicated. But before we dive deeper into the important details, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and leave a comment down below with your thoughts on this case. Your support really helps us keep bringing stories like this to light. Now, if you're wondering who David is, well, he's not just some random guy. He's a multi-platinum artist with viral hits like Here With Me and Romantic Homicide. And here's the weird part. In both of those music videos, he used the same type of model. Curly hair, similar look. And a lot of people couldn't help but notice they resembled Celeste, the very same girl who was later found dead in his Tesla. That detail alone already makes this whole case feel unsettling. Now, on her missing person report card, Celeste Rivas Hernandez was last seen on April 5, 2024, in Lake Elsinore, California. Her date of birth, September 7, 2010. And suspiciously, that date lines up with when David dropped some of his biggest songs. On top of that, he had an unreleased track literally titled Celeste, and in a lot of his lyrics, he mentions the name Celeste over and over. If that wasn't enough, people even dug up that he once dated another girl with the same name. At this point, it doesn't just look like a coincidence. It feels like an obsession. Now, just to give you some background on this young girl, and I say child, because that's exactly what she was. Celeste was only 13 years old when she went missing. 13. That's middle school age, still a kid. The missing persons report described her as 5'3", 120 pounds, last seen wearing gray pants, a black sweater, a hat, and Hello Kitty sandals. She left her house around 9 p.m. on a Friday night and never returned. People who knew Celeste said she wasn't always at home. She came and went a lot, and there were constant whispers about instability in her household. And that's where David comes in. With his fame, money, and influence, it's not hard to imagine how he could have manipulated a vulnerable 13-year-old into leaving with him. Her mom later confirmed to TMZ that the tattoo was real, done in red ink. But here's where it gets even darker. She also admitted her daughter had a boyfriend named David. And remember, Celeste herself was obsessed with Hello Kitty. Coincidentally, or maybe not, David once posted a TikTok back in 2021 about meeting someone wearing Hello Kitty and saying he instantly fell in love. And whether it was coincidence or not, David suddenly started showing an obsession with Hello Kitty. He even made it his TikTok profile picture, but with blood on it. At his concerts, he would show up wearing Hello Kitty-themed shirts like it was part of his brand. And when you connect that to the fact that Celeste herself loved Hello Kitty, it doesn't just look quirky anymore, it feels suspicious. And it gets worse. There's chatter online with people pulling up evidence suggesting the two might have actually lived together at some point. Multiple clips and screenshots show them in the same rooms. Even more disturbing are the unproven claims that her middle school friends knew about her situation, and that David allegedly paid them to keep quiet. Middle schoolers. Let that sink in. So the theory a lot of people are leaning toward is this. After some time, Celeste realized she wanted out. She wanted her old, normal teenage life back. If you watch the very few clips where she's seen with him, she's almost always hiding. Oversized hoodies, pulled up hoods, anything to cover herself. It's like she didn't want to be recognized. Some people think that once she pushed back, David didn't want to let go. And that's when things might have taken a deadly turn. Of course, that's speculation, but it's not hard to see why people believe it. From there, her disappearance became even more suspicious. Officially, she'd been listed as missing for over a year. But behind the scenes, she was still talking to certain people up until about a month before her body was discovered. That means she wasn't completely gone. Someone knew where she was. Someone was still in contact with her. And then came the Tesla discovery in September of this year. By the time she was found, the remains were in such bad condition that the LA County Medical Examiner said she'd clearly been in there for an extended period of time. Immediately, LAPD swarmed the area. Detectives went door to door, asking neighbors for ring footage, scouring streets, alleys, and driveways, convinced the car had been driven through back routes to avoid being seen. Residents later confirmed police were everywhere, checking every angle possible. At the time, David was out on his Withered World tour. In fact, he even performed that very night after the discovery. He was on stage, giving out labubus, acting like nothing had happened. Crazy, right? How do you perform like that knowing what's sitting in your own car? A spokesperson for David told NBC that he was fully cooperating with authorities. But really, how can you be cooperating when you're halfway across the country performing shows? At that point, the whole situation felt confusing. Nobody knew what to believe. But now, with new revelations surfacing, things are finally starting to look clearer and much darker. Shortly after, David paused his tour and canceled his Seattle show. That was when the body was identified. It was Celeste Rivas Hernandez. But that was only the start. The rabbit hole went deeper. People dug into David's Discord, and what they found was disturbing. There were images of Celeste in the server, and conversations where other members straight up referred to her as David's girlfriend. The worst part? A post from August 2024 where someone replied to David saying, "Drop a song on the missing girl Celeste." That's bone-chilling. And it wasn't just Discord. About a week ago, two separate people on Reddit made claims that lined up with everything happening now. One post said, "A close friend's little sister from the Inland Empire ran away last year, and this is who she was with. We think her own sister was pimping her out. She was only in 7th grade at the time. LAPD already swept David's place in the hills. Nobody has heard from her in months. I won't release names because she's still a minor, but she was from Lake Elsinore. That post was ignored at the time, even downvoted. But now, looking back, it was right on the money. The second post was even scarier because it didn't name Celeste outright. It only referred to her as C. That small detail makes it feel more credible, like these people actually knew what was going on behind the scenes. Then comes another eerie layer. The song "Romantic Homicide" was released on September 7th, the same date as Celeste's birthday. When people realized that, they started revisiting David's lyrics with a new lens. Suddenly, lines that once sounded artistic started to feel like confessions. The connections didn't stop there. FaceTime screenshots surfaced showing David on calls with Celeste. Photos from 2023 placed them together before she went missing. And leaked messages suggested inappropriate contact, with Celeste herself admitting to things that confirmed their relationship. She even mentioned another name, Gus, someone she'd had contact with under circumstances even more horrifying. On top of that, Reddit and TikTok posts started circling with claims that David paid off kids, Celeste's own friends, to stay quiet. And then came the so-called Chandler story. An Instagram user alleged that David owed money to people in Lake Elsinore, and because of his involvement with a minor, he was throwing cash around to keep everyone silent. Chandler even posted a photo that appeared to show David literally handing money to kids. Multiple accounts reposted the same image, saying kids in the area were sharing it privately. And honestly, the guy in that picture looks exactly like David. It might be the most damning piece of evidence yet. At this point, what once felt like rumors and speculation now looks like a trail of red flags that was ignored for too long. From Discord chats to Reddit posts, leaked screenshots, unreleased songs, and even his live shows. All of it paints a horrifying picture. And the scariest part is how many people seem to know something was wrong, but stayed quiet until it was too late. So here's the bottom line. Don't worship celebrities. Don't let clout and fan bases blind you from the fact that these people are human. And humans are capable of doing terrible things. Teach your siblings, your friends, anyone younger around you to be careful. because this tragedy shows how dangerous blind trust in fame can be. Rest in peace, Celeste. You will be missed, and I hope you're finally at peace now.